Welcome to The Bounty, a new, bold Counter-Strike format where every round raises the stakes. Here's how it works. The prize pool isn't just split at the end, it's distributed as bounties. Each team starts with a bounty based on their seed. Lower seeds begin with 0, but can still strike it big by hunting bounties from higher ranked teams. Win a match and you secure 50% of your opponent's bounty as a guaranteed payout. The other 50%, it carries forward, growing the stakes for the next round. After each round, the lower seeded teams pick their opponents from the higher seeded pool. If they win, they claim their opponent's seed. In week 2, the final 8 teams bring their bounties to the Blast Studio. It's a face-to-face showdown with new twists. Teams can challenge opponents by raising the stakes with their banked winnings. It's high risk, high reward. Here's how it works. Teams use their banked winnings to up the ante. For example, if Team A has $50,000 and Team B has $25,000, Team A can only challenge up to $25,000, the amount their opponent has banked. Both teams have to accept the challenge. This is Counter-Strike like never before. Are you ready to go bounty hunting?
Welcome to the first ever Blast Bounty LAN Finals. This is the most unique and exciting format we've ever had in Counter-Strike. Just last week, we had 32 teams competing online for the Blast Bounty. We were seeding them through the Most Wanted and the Bounty Hunters. 1 to 16 are your Most Wanted, where the Bounty Hunters are 17 to 32. And we kept that format going throughout, with some Bounty Hunters being more successful than others. Now we take things here in Copenhagen in the Blast TV studios to LAN. 8 teams who work their way here will be battling it out for this trophy and fighting the whole way through. Let's find out who can be successful at bounty hunting. Let's take a look at our Most Wanted. G2 didn't have the easiest of starts, but they held off bait and big to avoid the upsets and defend their #1 seed to make it to the final 8. Na'Vi, they looked shaky in their opening game against Imperial Female, but the bounce back versus Astralis proved that win or lose, the first game doesn't count. Vitality came in with a cool new addition and the hype around them is huge, but this move requires a lot of change, but that didn't stop them looking strong. Spirit are looking like the scariest team in the tournament, confidently battling against FlyQuest and Fnatic, and all the bounty hunters have been leaving them until the end. Here are the bounty hunters. BetBoom, they proved that seeding is only a number as they took down Mouse and Furia. Now they have to fight with not 1, but 2 stand-ins, making this an almost impossible challenge. Will the first pick opportunity save them? Pain, they went the distance against Gamer Legion, but when facing FaZe, they showed they were more prepared with their new lineup and more confident in themselves, scoring a big win and a big bounty. Eternal Fire, they showed us that they are ready to fight. Yes, they do have Zontares, but it was a team performance that got them the wins over Fluxo and Falcons to be here. Now the real test begins. heroic. Oh, they were so successful at bounty hunting. In both of their games, they were using this format to their advantage. This time, they don't have a choice. This time, they will face whoever is left.
Oh yes, we've got 4 bounty hunters hungry to take down 4 of the top teams in Counter-Strike 2. We've had 1 week of online play. Now they're joining us in our beautiful LAN studio live from Copenhagen. Speaking of beautiful things, I've got 3 beautiful faces here. I've got Pimp, as always, Connor, very special guest joining us, and last but not least, Maui Snake. How's it been on the late shift with Vu and James Banks?
Well, if you ignore the height difference.
You seem taller, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like, am I a normal size now, guys? Like, does it feel right?
Yeah,
is Vu just tall?
We're all actually squatting right now.
Can we all just admit that? Like, Vu's really tall.
Vu's very tall.
Okay, that's all I can say. Like, I don't even know what happened.
Connor, how's it been for you this past week? We've been seeing, you in the green room a little bit. What's it like actually being in the studio?
It's very nice to be in Jacob's spaceship. Nice of you to lend it to us. We know this is the one that he landed on, actually, a few years ago when he joined us. It's nice to be on the analyst desk. I feel like I'm on my Moses arc at the moment. I was hosting last week with you, Freya. I'm casting this week, and now here I am with the big brain. So,
a man of many talents. You definitely are.
Well,
speaking of which, we got Jacob. A man of some talents, I guess.
Some would say, and some would argue not. To be completely honest, I'm just happy to be here next to Connor. It's the first time we get to share
what's
this.
up?
Yeah,
First time ever.
This has been a really sick way to kick off the 2025 season, right? Brand new format, loads of different rosters coming into the tournament, and now we actually get to see them in person. We've been walking past some of the coaches, some of the players who are going to be joining us here live for the draft, right?
It does feel like everyone is excited. It does feel like the players are excited, the coaches are excited. It does feel like the community as well. Not that we always pay attention to what they mean, say, good stuff, bad stuff, but it does feel like everyone is joining around this format. And, the excitement for Counter-Strike for 2025, I think with the new format, with the Valve ranking as well, it's looking good.
Speaking of which, the players are joining us live here in that Copenhagen studio. We can see them arriving a couple of minutes earlier, getting mic'd up, having a little chat with, shout out Jonathan, one of our stage managers. We've got a representative from each team going to be going down tonight, and that is going to be happening live 9:30. So the clock starts now, just under 25 minutes until they'll be on stage with James Banks selecting their picks. We got a nice mix of representatives from the teams as well. Shout out Blade. He's always a man who's very eloquent.
Yeah, a few coaches, a few in-game leaders, Magnoches. I think hopefully one day with Bounty we'll be in a situation where we can attract some of the superstars. Like when it comes down to the draft, I know it's probably the brains behind the operations making the choices, but I want to hear it from Monacy's mouth.
Maybe on Friday, because we're going to be doing another draft as well when we move into the second stage.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's talk about last week, though. Maui, what has been your biggest takeaway from week 1, the first week of the 2025 season?
Well, I guess I'm a little bit surprised that it's taking FaZe maybe as long as it is, even this just being the debut tournament for Elige, for it to gel, because people looked a little bit uncomfortable in certain positions. Elige didn't really have the last great map versus Pain. And for me right now, I know they're going to put it together.
Yeah.
I just wish they hit the ground running a little faster.
You guys aren't content with Elige and FaZe? Do you agree with that?
I mean, it's tough. I think we all hope that they would do better. I think we all hope that it will be a little bit more smooth. I think it's a team where you look towards the roles right now. You look towards Rain and you ask yourself a question. Rain has always been a staple of FaZe Clan. He's always been a great player, especially in his role. Then you hear Kerrigan saying in an interview that maybe you see him more as an anchor role and he's now moving into a new position. To me, as much as I hate saying it because I like Rain, I think it puts him in a very dangerous position. I think right now we have a lot of great anchors out there. We have anchors on smaller teams. And if it doesn't work out, this whole project with Rain, you're not going to sacrifice Elise. I think the next one on the chopping block could be Rain, and it sounds outrageous to even say it. So I'm curious to see if he can turn it around and find a solution for it. Give him time, obviously. I think he has it in him, but it's a dangerous position to be in.
I'm not even going to consider roles too much of an issue at the moment because I don't think FaZe's shortcomings at the start of this event were too surprising, all things considered. Like Elige joins this team, a team that's meant to win trophies, right? We're talking about a FaZe clan that nobody even, not nobody, but a lot of people didn't even consider could probably get to the Shanghai playoffs. We saw the struggles in the first 2 stages of that major. So we already had a core system that made sense role-wise that was struggling. And then you have the addition of Elige where even the removal of Robs comes out and says like, yeah, I don't know how that team's going to work role-wise. There's too many moving parts, and FaZe struggle online. And we start this bounty online, right? New season, new team, new structure, FaZe online. are we really surprised that it didn't hit the ground running? I know we all wanted it to
It's
work
2 best of
quickly.
3s
It's
as
a want.
well.
You know, it's a desire.
yeah.
100% it's a desire. But I think taking a step back now that we're in LAN with
Yeah.
the actual usual suspects in terms of top 4,
Give it time. Give it time. Yeah,
I
give it
agree.
time.
Give
but,
it
but
time.
keep an eye out for it.
How
you know.
much more time, though, to poke
2
the bear a
months.
little bit? 2 months?
2 months.
2 months max, and then what? Somebody's being cut.
For normal teams, I would give him 3, but
Okay.
with the brains of Kerrigan, I feel like he's shown that he can get the absolute most out of any constellation of players,
Sure.
and that's why we rate him so highly. Oftentimes, the reason that he has a leg up in the GOAT IGL discussion
Yes.
is because he's worked with the Mouse Sports core back in the day, this phase lineup, won trophies across CSGO and CS2 and even 1.6. Like, he's done it with so many different types of people around him. So that's why 2 months is all I really think before they're going to be at their peak.
That's a fair
As long as they show progress, I don't think FaZe is bound to win trophies within 2 months. I think that would be unrealistic to have those expectations, but at least show progress, and show us that Rain can develop into a new role and at least can come into the team and uplift them a little bit. So 2 months to show progress, I'll buy into that.
Okay, Jacob, what was your takeaway from week number 1 about it?
It's probably a little bit of a backhanded compliment to Blast, but I think the format as a whole has been great to start off the season with. I think for a couple of years we had this tournament where you'd come into the beginning of the season and the storyline for a lot of teams would be that they would use the Blast tournament as a bit of a boot camp. You played the group stage. Even if you lost both your games, you went out of it. You go down to the showdown. So I think fact of the matter that we have this bounty system that is first and foremost new, innovative, very fun, very engaging, both for us but also for the viewers. A massive plus. But also the fact that we have these teams coming into the tournament knowing that if they lose a game, they lose a great opportunity for getting into the studio, warm up into the season, and that means that every single team are taking these games very seriously. And that was not always the case with the Blast format to begin of the season. So for me, that's the main takeaway.
Yeah, I think, Blast Bounty is essentially, Launders and I have been saying this in the cast, it's kind of like a showdown on steroids because it's single elimination, but it's single elimination starting from the top with the high-ranked teams.
Yes.
Every once in a while, 1 or 2 of those high-ranked teams fall into the showdown, and that was the exciting thing about it. But now everybody starts in that instance.
Yes.
And listen, if you lose and you get eliminated, Katowice's around the corner. And that is just the general trend of starting each and every year of Counter-Strike. We do Blast, and then we do Kato. And if you have a bad Blast, you can catch up in Kato. But if you have a good Blast Bounty now, and like you're talking about, come into the studio, lift a trophy, win some money, well, I think you're already on the road to having a good Kato. So I also think it serves as an excellent runway.
It's also just so cutthroat that MOUZ even cut their IGL. So we're already seeing the repercussions of a single elimination tournament to kick off the season.
Yeah, that was wild,
I mean,
wasn't
it just came out of nowhere, and it's because they lost one game, one BO3, and then they're already saying, yeah, we don't really F with your vision. We don't F with your vibe right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
That was pretty
At
wild.
least that's what they say. At least
One extra element that obviously we haven't dived into yet, and we will be this week, it's the challenge, right? The ability
Yes.
to wager the money that you've got in your bank and on your bounty and bet it against other teams. And teams obviously can deny that as well. They
Yeah.
can say, no, actually, we don't want to risk that. I'm so excited to see if that goes down.
No matter if they say yes or no, that's going to be a story in itself. You know,
Yes.
if someone is going to chicken out, but I hope that the players and the teams will buy into it. I hope someone will
100%.
put the money where their mouth is and someone will back themselves saying, yes, we can beat them and go all in.
I mean, in an ideal world, come Sunday when there are 2 teams left, each team has, let's say, a $50,000 to $100,000 bounty. And if you are, again, hypothetical world, a Navi versus a Spirit or a Vitality slips in there, teams that are already making good salary and are going to play big tournaments all year long.
Yep.
You telling me you're not going to start this year with a $200,000 bonus on a best of 5? Like, that is this format in its ideal case. Now, it's not a perfect format. That's the thing with Bounty at the moment. It's the first instance of it, and just to like speak on Blast behalfs a little bit, it's like the beauty is we can shift things up from this Bounty to the second one later in 2025. There is no full commitments, This is something we had talked about earlier, but like the seeding, for example, I think there's still some flaws that need to be worked out. The 17th seed is a point of contention because or the 16th seed.
Yeah.
16th seed is a point of contention because you have a $10,000 bounty, which means that you don't get to pick your opponent.
Yes.
And because any team that causes upsets also steals the seed of the team that they beat, suddenly somebody like Big, who is the perfect counterpoint, 17th seed, they picked first round 1. I believe they stole 15th or 14th seed. And then from that point, they were able to pick, 4 or 5 stages in round 2. So being 17 means you get to pick twice to the strength. And, you know, these are the things that we have to work out. Nobody's claiming here at Blast that it's perfect.
Connor, wildly, that wasn't even your take. What was your takeaway from week number 1? We're committed to something else, right?
My take is train.
Yeah.
I think that train is a continuation of strong maps entering the map pool.
Yep.
This is built on the momentum of Anubis. The first map, the first event where Anubis was featured in the competitive map pool was 2022 Blast World Finals in Abu Dhabi. At that event, 7 of the 13 matches played featured Anubis in the 3 maps.
Sure. Oh, wow.
Over half of them. Now, they weren't all played. 5 of the 7 actually got paid.
Okay.
Liquid had the decider when they got smoked in the grand finals. But the point being that Anubis, a map that was provenly tested throughout the map course ecosystem and entered having been criticized and molded and fixed before it entered, hit the ground running.
Yes.
I think this train, obviously not going through such a procedure, but at the same time coming in and being played already 4 times, potentially a 5th, because Big had it as a decider that didn't get played.
Yeah.
And we still have the LAN portion of this event to go down, despite not seeing it, you know, per se. It's just to say that I think Train's coming in at a strong point. And most importantly, because the #1 criticism I think that everybody had of Train before it came in was the T-spawn outer timings. And I'm so happy that Valve adjusted that before our first officials without changing anything else too significantly. Because it's like, we all identified the big problem, they fixed it, let everything else really play out before we overreact.
There's a bit of a context to that, though, because I don't disagree with you, but also it did replace Vertigo, which arguably is the worst map that's ever been in the map pool for such a long time. So I feel like it was an easy map to replace and then get this, you know, positive feeling around Train, which is also why a lot of teams are probably playing Train because they didn't like playing Vertigo. So that's context to it as well. I think it's a decent map, but I hate the fact that we took away the identity of Train, which is the long-range duel, the big open space on outer side, and I feel like that was the only map that offered that kind of vision. So you said it yourself, you know, Anubis was molded, it was fixed, it was updated. I hope the same is going to be the same for Train. It's not a bad map by any means, but there's still room for improvement.
I just have faith in what Valve's going to do, given they turned Ancient from this CT-sided snooze fest into one of the best balance maps, and in my opinion, the most fun and watchable map in the pool. So I have faith. I have faith that they're going to do what they need to in order to make Train a great map.
Well, a fair few learnings coming from the first week of the Blast Bounty 2025. But one thing is for certain, and that is 8 teams joining us live tonight in the Copenhagen studio.
The format, it's kind of intrigue. You never know who you play.
That is exciting for the viewers to see the exciting matchups and how all the bounty systems play into it.
You don't know who to expect to pick you. Yeah, I think for me the biggest surprise here is the format, to be honest.
I would say that the most surprising team at the Blast Bounty is Bad Boom. The biggest upset so far on Blast Bounty is Mouse Sports losing to some team, I forgot.
I think biggest upset on Blast Bounty, it's us.
I think the biggest upset so far is Pain.
I think the biggest surprise of Blast Bounty gonna be Davideus.
I think the other teams fear about firepower maybe in our teams. I think I have like 4 Pitbull ready to attack and bite.
When teams play against Navi, they should look out for GL's Deagle.
The other teams should fear the unpredictability of this new lineup of Heroic.
I guess they need to be careful where they pick, because they can pick into Monacy.
When you know you have to play Vitality, you cannot be happy.
I think teams who play versus us just must expect something strange because we're playing with 2 subs.
I think everyone pretty much knows what to be scared of, and that's Dong.
Yeah, I think Magic is certainly right. There are a fair few people are going to be scared of Donk, which is why I'm so interested to see exactly how these picks are going to be going down. But before we dive into that, of course, we have the top 8 teams, 4 bounty hunters, 4 most wanted at the bottom of the screen. Jacob, are there any surprises in any metric, like teams you expected to be here, teams that have maybe made an upset to make it here?
I mean, we spoke a bit about it, but FaZe Clan not being here is a bit of an upset. I think Maui alluded to it as well. The fact that Mouse already caught a player after losing their opening game is also a big surprise. I'm sure there goes more into that, but there were a couple of upset teams, you know, not being here, and FaZe and Mouse are the 2 that sticks out.
For me, I think BetBoom and how much they upgraded their team by just bringing in Boomich, Axile, 2 guys that a lot of people didn't have the most faith in. I held on.
I forgot about Exile all of a sudden.
I know. It's like they don't watch the games. It's like some people just don't watch the game. They just hate.
Context, Maui, you do know Boomage ain't here, right? And we do have a stand-in.
Why you gotta make it hurt, Freya?
They do have
Why
2
you gotta make it-
stand-ins, actually. Let's move over to the Blast Bounty Simulator, though. This is going down on Blast TV, so you guys can get involved in the action at home. But let's, use our minds for a moment, if you so desire.
Wonderful.
Let's bring it up, and let's put the teams in which we think are going to be picking another team. As you said, BetBoom, 5th seed. They're going to be picking first.
Okay.
You have to agree, though. This is a democracy.
I
We
have an
to
idea.
agree.
Okay.
We let
Right.
the 2 big brains present their arguments.
So me and you.
Of course, yes. These 2 gentlemen. And if they disagree, I'll be the tiebreaker.
Okay, yeah, I like this. I like that's very fair.
I don't think we're going to disagree here, though.
Okay.
I wrote mine up
case,
in
all
advance.
yours. Okay.
I mapped this whole thing out. 5th seed, BetBoom. I think they're going with G2. Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think G2 are very lucky to be in that position. All things considered, BetBoom, as you said, coming in with 2 stand-ins, they'll pick G2 because G2 have looked okay, but they've shown a bit of weakness. And I think
Shaky.
BetBoom, a bit of shakiness, yeah. And I think BetBoom think that the only chance they have of winning a game right here would be against G2, which actually plays into the favor of G2, given BetBoom is showing up with 2 stand-ins. So I agree with you.
That's going to be the second game going down tomorrow. I say we concur with that.
I concur.
Totally buy in that
100%.
logic.
Pip, what do you think for EF?
Yeah.
Well,
Pain
Pain
and
is
X.
Pain is
Pain and
seed,
X.
yeah.
Pain, you're right.
That's a good
Yeah.
question. You have Na'Vi, you have Vitality, you have Spirit. I don't think anyone wants to play Spirit right now, and I think Spirit have looked very dangerous. So for me, it's between Na'Vi and Vitality. Now, Na'Vi did look shaky to end the season. They have, come alive, and I think they're doing a good job. If I'm Pain, I probably look into the map pool. I look into what team do you think you have a better chance of beating. And I don't think they like the fact that they don't know what Vitality is coming with. So they're knowing and going with the known quantity, which would be Na'Vi.
Ooh. Okay, this one I actually wrote that they would go with Vitality. Reason being, both teams ban Ancient, and then you will always be able to float that, ban a strong pick from Vitality. So that's my reasoning, even though I think if I did a power ranking, I might put Vitality ahead of Na'Vi right now.
It's a possibility, and you could also argue that Pain could then force in a train, perhaps, if you're willing to float a map like that. However, I don't think Pain is going to go that route.
Okay.
I'm interested in that train conversation because for Vitality, it's one of only 2 teams, I believe, that we've actually seen play in this stage of the tournament, right? Yes. We haven't seen Pain necessarily bowing out themselves very frequently, but do you think they're willing to lean into a map like that?
No team here picked Train. Train was always picked against them.
Yes.
So in that instance, I'm going to retract myself. I don't think anybody's going to be picking it per se either. I think there's a chance we don't even see it on the LAN finals.
Oh, I don't like that.
Maybe it gets floated,
Make
or
it
maybe
happen.
maybe
I think Decider's possible.
You think so?
Yeah, just because some of the underdogs I think the underdogs want to let it through, but they don't want it to be their pick.
Okay.
I don't think any of the big teams will allow it to be a decider. It's too new, it's too random. There's too much at stake here. Yeah.
So
Let
whose
this guy
argument
decide.
are you buying? Yeah, Na'Vi or Vitality?
I like the idea that Maui Snake has come to the table with the veto kind of mapped out already. I'm going to say Eternal Fire, pick Na'Vi.
Pain. Pick
Sorry.
Na'Vi.
Pain,
Pick Na'Vi, which means Eternal Fire. Who do you think they pick? Because Heroica obviously last to pick. They'll be with the leftovers. Who do you think Eternal Fire is going for out of the 2?
No one wants to play Spirit. Nobody wants to play Spirit.
Nobody wants to play Donk.
So nobody wants to play Donk. Nobody wants to play what they're cooking up right now. They look like they're still carrying that major form. No hangover whatsoever. They'll pick Vitality.
Okay, I raise you though, because we heard Masha say, yeah, they have Nico, but we have Xantares. Yeah, they have Dong, but we have Xantares. How do you think that head-to-head's
That's
going to go?
a different ball game. You know? There's levels to the game. He can pull that off against Nico, which he did in all fairness. Did he own him 13 to 3?
Handedly, that was insane.
He shut him down, yeah. I think Nico was having a tough game against Xantares, and that was nice to see, but Dong is a different kind of breed at the moment.
To be fair, the only person who can shut down Donk is Nico.
It's
and
true.
so if we go down that road of logic,
I think it's more rock,
dangerous.
paper, scissors, though, than a chain reaction.
I wouldn't want to play Spirit either, so I think your logic is sound.
EF goes with Vitality, no doubt about it.
Okay, cool. So Heroica left over with Spirit, which locks in the first round of 4 games. We can move on to the semi-finals.
So we can predict on what we've predicted.
We
keep going.
can predict,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Who
Jeez.
and who's winning in each matchup? Sorry.
I mean, do we really think there's going to be any upsets, or are we taking left column all the way?
I mean, Spirit is going to beat Heroic.
Yeah.
Simple as it is.
let's
Yo, I
always
think the
think that.
BetBoom G2 one's an interesting one.
No.
It would have been.
Surely,
I have
if-
Eternal.
yeah.
I have Eternal Fire equal to Vitality.
Ooh.
Wow.
When I did my because of the form of Xantares and Wicadia, and I have high expectations for Woxic coming into the LAN finals.
Ooh. We can land walk.
Yeah, and I think the T sides of Vitality are crazy enough because of we had this discussion about
Last
how good
year
they
they were
were
great.
last year.
Yeah.
It's the big thing that struggled so far online. And again, how much stock do I want to put into it? If we've learned anything with this inclusion of one roster change between FaZe, one player the difference, and all these T sides are just
Okay,
struggling.
Hold your horses. G2, Bet Boom, who are we going with?
G2. If it was the Bet Boom unencumbered by Visage,
Yes, then
maybe we would
maybe
switch
a bit
that
more
up.
50-50.
I buy into your argument about Eternal Fire being a good
Go
team.
on,
and a
then
decent
pick
team.
it.
Yeah,
Nope,
top 8
because you're
Copenhagen
going
Major.
you're going up against Saivu, and Saivu has been looking stellar so far.
That's true.
That
You're
is
going
the
up against
problem.
Grubs, who also look like a player that is reignited. He sounds motivated. He's been speaking positively about joining
Messi
Vitality.
looks happy.
Messi looks happy, and you cannot compare
smiling.
Robs coming into Vitality with Elise coming into FaZe. It's two different things, two different role settings. And I will say Robs is a guy that suffocates his opponents on lane as well.
So it's Vitality.
EF is not going to win a map against Vitality.
Oh, wow. Okay. Bold prediction.
Okay.
Na'Vi versus Pain. I guess we're going with Na'Vi.
That's gonna
Are
be
we really
Pain.
going with all the favorites?
I'll be taking. Yeah, it's a little bit boring, but it gets interesting in the semis.
true.
Let's
That's
just say
true.
that.
We hate fun up here on the desk. Okay, semifinals, those are locked in. Who are we siding with?
What are the seeds?
I was going to
matchup?
say, this is the fun part
Number
about
3
this.
seed Vitality.
Yeah, so they get to pick.
The fun part is with Vitality picking, not only do they choose their opponent, but it's the only decision come Friday.
Yep.
You select your opponent's matches and your own in the same time, and you're telling me Vitality serves as that trigger?
Oh
Sure.
wow.
And they'll pick G2?
They'll pick G2.
They'll pick G2 all day.
Surely,
All day.
It doesn't matter how
surely.
G2 is going to beat Bet Boom, they will still think G2 is the weakest opponent.
Yeah.
And Vitality will win that?
Yeah, I'd take Vitality.
I
I'll
would
take
also
Vitality
take
all day in that
Yeah,
matchup.
even with
actually.
Vitality's
Yeah.
T-side struggles, G2's struggled more.
Somehow I'm even more convinced Vitality over G2 than Vitality over Eternal Fire. Somehow.
Agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Okay, so now we've got Spirit Na'Vi as our
Wow.
second
That's a good
predicted
game.
The major grand final we never had.
Oh.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Can we just make that a best of 5?
Yeah.
I think the big question to me is that Na'Vi were not looking great at the end of 2024, but they seemingly have come alive. And I think the first game against Imperial, it's hard to make much out of that. The second game is a little bit more telling, and I think Na'Vi looked great against Astralis. I know it was one close map, but then they shut them down in the second. I could see Na'Vi ramp up into the season. The only thing that makes me say Spirit is going to win this game is that we know Na'Vi to be slow starters, and we also know Blade to be a guy that prepares for the future. I think, as much as I want to say that this is the most important tournament for Na'Vi coming into the season, it is a warm-up into the season. And I don't think Blade is a coach that normally, tends to have his team peak early stages. They always build into it. So I think Spirit carrying over the major momentum is going to edge them over Na'Vi, despite them looking better.
Shall we have a show of hands? Who's saying Spirit win this? Oh, 4 hands. Maui, you've been voting on behalf.
I'll lightly take it.
Okay.
Confident.
Purple question: are any of those teams challenging with any of their cash? Do you think? Do you think anybody's going to put anything extra on the line?
Yo, Apex is gonna bet something against G2 for sure.
But G2 will say no.
They might, yeah. That's the only problem.
I think Spirit and I think Na'Vi would be up for that. I think Spirit and Na'Vi would be up for
Na'Vi
that.
and Spirit should. I mean, they have prize winnings from the last year. 2024 was a financial success for both
you
of
can
those
even
rosters.
predict how much they're betting, yeah.
How much?
Wow, all in,
Everything.
baby, all in.
Everything.
Yeah.
Let's do it all. It's all or nothing,
that
dude.
cash.
That's what Launders taught me.
Okay, grand final. That is going to be a best of 5. And who predicted that we wouldn't see Train? That was you. I think we almost definitely will, because these are the 2 teams that. Oh, sorry, Connor. Yeah, they played it. They both played it. So surely we'll be seeing it.
Yeah. Well, again,
This
both
happens.
picked against them, but like you're saying, floating a high possibility. So surely we see it.
Might be map 5 though.
Surely
So
we
maybe
see
we
it.
don't.
Maybe we don't see it. Maybe we don't.
It'll feature
see
in the
it.
pool whether or
Now.
not we.
I'd like
watch
to
it.
hear all of your arguments for who's going to win here.
Would Vitality be up to gamble the entire thing against Spirit? Would they be up for that wager? I think
that
they
would
would.
be so
I think
good.
Apex and I think Vitality would.
Messi just had a kid, man.
They used to start that college line.
I think they would. I think they'd bet the entire thing. I think we get your dream scenario. If it's Vitality versus Spirit, and if both of the teams are looking somewhat decent in the quarterfinal and in the semifinal, I think if you're Apex, you're going to tell your teammates, we believe in ourselves. I got Saivu. Donk, you can come at me. I think both teams would be willing to bet the entire thing.
I think Apex is gonna come with that speech, but because Messi just had a kid, he's gonna say 2/3 boss. 2/3.
As if Messi have anything to say in that lineup.
I don't think
Who's
he's
winning
speaking
it?
now. He's
Who's
speaking
winning it ultimately, gentlemen? Who do you think is going to take it home?
I think Team Spirit win this event. To be honest with you, the only two teams I can see capable of playing a best of 5 at a competitive level throughout the whole series are Spirit and Na'Vi. And if we get that in a semi-final, then it's not a part of the conversation. And in a grand finals, despite my belief in Vitality being able to put up a fight, I have Spirit taking it at this point. Whoever wins that Spirit Na'Vi game wins this event.
I think Vitality could win this one.
I like Vitality also.
Yeah?
I like Vitality
I like
also.
that too. 3
Yes.
votes for Vitality,
Better IGL.
1 vote for Spirit. We're locking it in. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your thoughts. But either way, we do have 4 bounty hunters ready to be taking on some of Counter-Strike's most wanted. I'm excited to see exactly how this draft does play out. I'm wondering how the teams are gonna, because we've only got 1 representative here, right? What if a team before goes for a little curveball pick? Like, I imagine they have a draft in their head of the order that they want.
Yeah, I hope everything would just predicted right here.
I want BetBoom to take Spirit. I want BetBoom to take Spirit just because they should have some familiarity.
Yeah?
I mean, Magna just plays with Donk on Face It all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
I want him to go off the rails, off script.
Go on.
I want his team to get mad at him because they're gonna say, "Why are we playing Spirit, Magno? What did you do? Why did you pick this?" But he said, "I beat Donk all the time."
And they have to do it on the spot, right? So in theory, he could just make up his own mind.
He could just change his mind if he wants to.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I would love so. I would love to. I think what we just predicted right here, it would be nice if someone would throw a spanner into it, but I have a hard time seeing it, especially with the stand-in situation and with G2 as well. And G2 is curious. You know, I feel like G2 are getting a lot of flack for their performances, but yet they're still here. Yet they haven't lost the game. And you play Atlan against Monacy and Melts in the form they're in right now. Heavy Guard being the big surprise for G2 as well. I think G2 on a stage is still going to be a different team than G2 online as well. So it's not going to be that easy.
It might be an uptick, and I think that, again, as this event went on, we started to see good setups and executes and a more structured T side from G2, where we really had criticisms for them. It's their mid-round decisions and the kind of variation from their initial ideas that I still pin as one of the lowest in the top 4. It's for that reason that I think they might get stronger, Jacob, but they're not going to go very far.
It's a fantastic point, because you cannot replace Nico. I've been honing about this all the time. People say, yeah, but Malps can move into Nico's position. Sure, but no one can mid-round call like Nico. And people at home don't understand how important and how vital Nico has been. We've been standing next to him at events. We've been listening to him. He was more of a caller than Snacks were at the later stages of G2. That's lost within G2.
At times, for sure. But I do think that Snacks is going to lock in, because there's another Polish IGL breathing down his neck right now. So
maybe it already happened.
Hey, don't know.
Maybe.
Don't quite know, but I think they're going to play a little bit better as well.
Nothing confirmed, nothing denied. Who's going to have maybe the best reaction up here, do you think? We got some good personalities tonight.
Somebody who's going to talk a little smack? I'm hoping it comes from Blade.
Oh.
It won't be... It's going to be just intelligence with sharpness.
Yes, it's going to be just sharp, direct,
Yes, it's
and
gonna
accurate.
hurt.
He's going to say,
Ooh, it's going to hurt.
I don't know why you would pick me. We are the better team. That's it. That's
Well,
the
either
strategy.
Let's get it on. Let's get it on.
Yeah, let's get the show on the road, because BetBoom, they've secured 5th seed, which means they're going to be picking first, whereas for Heroic, they're in 8th, so their opponent will be decided by fate. So let's get this draft underway.
And this is where it gets really exciting. All of our teams joining us here to watch a live draft go down. Starting with the number 1 seed, representing G2, we got Taz. Next up, for Na'Vi, it's Blade. From the Vitality side, X-Taz. On Spirit, it's Magix. Coming from our bounty hunters, BetBoom team, Magnajez. Pain, Big Uzera. Eternal Fire, Maja. And last but certainly not least, it's Heroic and Saw. Now this is the fun part. You guys get to have your picks. I get to decide how this is all gonna go. But I got some questions for you guys first. Taz, for you, how do you rate your team's performance for the opening couple of games?
I would say I don't really rate these, because we are still like in the process of building everything, and I'm just happy that we managed to win, and we had like tough games, because these games are very important at the beginning.
Certainly. Now, Saw, you had a lot of successful fun with the bounty hunting. How much did you enjoy this format, and how much did you have to kind of theory craft and plan things out?
I think it was fun, like exciting to pick the teams and choose your opponent. Plays a bit of mind games, of course, and can basically do the decision based off different things. So it was a nice aspect.
Majo, you gave us a fantastic quote saying they have Nico, we have Xantaras. Now we've got some tougher opposition for you. Still, Xantara's going to be enough?
We will see. We will see.
Blade, people thought the opening game from Na'Vi was a little bit shaky in there. Obviously against the Charlottes, it looked very good. How are you feeling considering how the end of the season was to these first couple of games? How confident do you feel for the season ahead?
Well, it's early to say anything, but it's obviously the start of the season. Every team is not in the best shape. But I like our dynamics, like how everything goes.
Do you feel like you have an advantage as well, especially because you kept the same players?
Yeah, like most sports, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, it's a huge advantage. Imagine we can take like all our experience like from previous year.
Yeah.
As a team, like we made such a long like path, and this is a privilege in my opinion. Like new team needs to build a lot of things to become or to be where we are now.
Yeah.
So for sure we need to use this season.
Xtaz, you made a very exciting change with Rops coming on in. What kind of a difference is he bringing to your team right now?
Of course, Rops is always special. This guy, he can bring a lot of things. He has a lot of idea. He doesn't hesitate to say it. So, of course, after 2 weeks, we are really happy. But let's see how it goes in 2-3 months.
Oh yes, time will tell. Big Yazera, you guys had a great game against FaZe. Obviously, another team that did well from the bounty hunting side of it. How important was that win for you guys, especially with a new player coming in?
I think that win was so important, but I think the main thing for us right now is like keep this level up, you know, and now have to prove it.
Oh yes, it's all about proving it, and you can definitely do it on this stage.
Yeah.
Now, Magna Jez, it's a strange situation for you. Most people are coaches or in-game leaders here, except for Magix, because obviously no one's talking English so much on that side of things. Your in-game leader couldn't come here, so who's leading the team now?
We separated with Stephanie, and I'm like representing the team, so I'm here because I'm in the main roster, but it is how it is.
So Nafani's going to be leading the team on the server?
50-50.
50-50. Okay, interesting. Magix,
New
you're
IGL.
looking good. I like this. What did you say?
New IGL.
New IGL. You want to be IGL next? Yeah, that's your next port of call?
Why next year? Why not tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, you know, you troll me all the time. I would love to see you IGL. It'd be funny. I'll have a listen in whenever you play on your comms. Now, Saw, last question for you, because you don't get a choice here. Yeah, you are at the mercy of whoever you're left with. How does it feel to be on the other side where you did well before from the bounty hunting?
Well, of course, it would be nice to pick a team, but I mean, all the teams you might pick are good teams, so it's also fine. We will get what's left over, and we will see.
We will see. Okay, well, I think we're all ready. It's time to get our picks. And with how this works, our 5th seed gets the first choice. BetBoom team had a lot of success. Taking down Miles was a very important one, but 2 stand-ins does make this a little bit harder for you guys. So just tell me how the current team you have decided on which team you're gonna pick.
Actually, we just speak to each other versus who we want to play. Everyone just say the same team.
Okay.
That was actually an easy decision. And that's
an easy decision?
Yeah.
Okay, let me hear it. What is BetBoom team's pick?
BetBoom team pick G2.
Ooh. Taz, did you expect to be picked first?
I mean, a little bit. I think that a lot of teams underestimate us and the potential that we have after Nico leaving. And well, it's on us to prove them wrong.
You have proven the other teams wrong so far. Is that the right reason? Did you pick them because you saw them as the weakest one?
Obviously not.
Okay, why then?
Because G2 lost Nico, it's a core player, obviously. That's a really strong guy. So he brings a lot to their game. And if I'm gonna compare them to other teams, they have like less structure, in my opinion, and more individual game. So it's gonna be easier to us as a mix to fight with them.
I like the reasoning behind it. So there we have our first game. BetBoom team taking on G2. Big Yzera, you get the next pick for Pain. Is it just you and the coach deciding? Is it a whole team choice? How did you sit down and go through this process?
Was kind of the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we get some decision together.
Did you have any disagreements? Did some people say this team?
Yeah.
So there was different ideas?
Yeah.
So who made the final decision?
Was like we count the votes.
Oh, okay, you voted.
Kind
I like it. Democracy. Democracy does
democracy.
work well.
Yeah.
All right. Big Yzera, who is Pain picking?
Pain Gaming is picking Navi.
Woo! Caralho.
Indeed, Blade. Now, first and second seed being picked out. First and second within this one. What do you think made them go for you, Blade?
I don't know, it's like choosing between Vitality, Spirit, and us. It depends, like, I don't know, what is their, like, strategy in terms of map pool, everything. Better to ask. Is that it?
Give us the reason, Big Yzera.
It's mostly map pool.
Okay.
Yeah. I think our map pool is so similar. So if they pick some map, it will be a good map for us. And will be the same by our side, I think. So will be a good maps. So probably a good match.
Probably a good match. I'm looking forward to it. Blade, for you, a lot of teams, when we've been asking them about why they picked into Na'Vi, they kept saying you guys are predictable. What do you say about that?
I don't know. It depends, always depends on the match, depends on the map, what we played, how much prep we put into this map, and so on. But we are always trying to change a lot of stuff from tournament to tournament, from map to map, from match even to match. So, I don't know.
So you don't agree, you're not predictable?
No. Depends, like I said, depends on the map. If you play Nuke, for example, like imagine on T side, people always build some manipulative like strategy, right? Like always to guess or like to force the rotation, just to know the habits. So if you speak about this map, for example, it's impossible to be predictable. You always need to change. But it's always mind games, right?
There is a lot of mind games.
Sometimes you predict, and we know you predict.
All right, we're down to our last two picks, and this one gets very interesting because Eternal Fire get to decide the fate for Heroic. So I'm going to just ask you first. You got either Vitality or Spirit. Who do you think you might end up with here?
Who do I think? Well, 50-50, I guess, but
Xantares could challenge Donk. Then you might get a Vitality.
But I think we are gonna play Spirit.
You think you're gonna play Spirit? Maja.
So
you now have the decision to make between the final two teams. Yes. Did you expect to have Vitality and Spirit left over when you kind of worked things out and said who the other teams might pick?
Yeah, to be honest, we talked about this scenario or multiple scenario,
yeah,
and this was a scenario that we talked with the team. Yeah.
Was there a scenario that surprised you here? Was there a different pick order?
Yeah, obviously we talk about multiple scenario and just took a decision about that, and I remember exactly the discussion about this scenario.
Ah, okay. So you're definitely ready.
I know my pick, yeah.
You know your pick?
Yeah.
All right.
But
Maja.
Before saying my pick, my kids at home are awake and they just watch me, and every time I say hello because she's so happy. My daughter when she watch me and she has her name. So Jeren, I don't know where's the camera. Jeren, Defna, Aslan, I love you guys. I do it for you. That's all.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. Hello to Maja's family out there watching as they get to see you make the Eternal Fire pick. Give it to me.
So the pick of Eternal Fire will be Vitality.
Vitality. I personally would think it may be an obvious reason why, but just tell me why you picked Vitality over Spirit.
No, it's always an exciting match against Vitality. I always play against them, and let's see.
Does it help that also they made a change? Does that make it maybe an easier chance for you?
No, I think like choosing between Spirit and Vitality, it's like choosing a fight between Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. doesn't matter who you pick, you know.
You're not gonna win.
But it's always good match against Vitality at ESL Pro League Extra, so always exciting match, and I already have goosebumps to play against them.
Well, I'm looking forward to see you beat Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, whichever one it would be. We'll have to see. Extaz, were you expecting to be in this position over Spirit? Do you think they're giving Spirit the respect?
Yeah, I think so. And also, they beat us twice last year. Hopefully, it's time to get a revenge.
Okay, so something on the cards there with that. So, I'm guessing, you already said it right, you would probably end up with Spirit, but does that mean you're very prepared for Spirit?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, and it was the most likely scenario for us that we are gonna meet Spirit. And the match will be tomorrow, of course, the first match. So maybe we have a couple of tricks here and there.
Oh. Magix, how did the Spirit team feel about it? You're just waiting, right? Again, in the same situation, but how did they feel about kind of guessing which team you might end up with? Did you expect it to probably be Eternal Fire or Heroic?
No, actually, the prediction was easily to get, because from the previous year, you have seen Eternal Fire besting Vitality. You've seen tough matches between Navi, and Badboom probably doesn't really want to play against Dong.
Yeah.
So it was pretty obvious, and also it went the same way in the previous round of picking, which was online, where we also remained the last team which was not picked by anyone, so we played FlyQuest. So actually, yeah, I think we have been expecting Heroic.
You think a lot of teams are just scared to pick into Spirit? They don't want to fight you guys?
I don't know.
It seems that way. It definitely looks like it. Well, here we have it. This has been the draft, and these are your quarterfinal matches.
There we have it indeed. 4 matches going to be going down. We've got some good sportsmanship going down on the stage as well. I love Madge's vibe during that. Not only wholesome, but making that comparison between Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, but he said it. He beat Vitality twice last year with Eternal Fire, so they understand how they play.
I mean, they should. I think Rops throws in a little bit of a wrinkle when it comes to how they want to play the defense, but if anything, that might bode well for them on their own defense. Vitality's T-sides have been the one thing that has been a point of criticism for us as we've been looking at them so far with this iteration of the lineup. And so, yeah, EF, they actually might be able to do this.
Do you think that's the most likely head-to-head that could be going in the side of the Bounty Hunters, Jacob?
I think so. You know, I think EF have a decent chance. I know, Connor, you're very much in on EF, and you like them a lot, and I think it's for good reason. I think the environment in here, though, with Robs coming into a LAN setting, with Saivu playing as well as he is, it's going to be incredible tough for EF, who are also a team that I'd still say that have a lot of online experience and sometimes tend to look a little bit, I wouldn't say better online, because we saw Pro League last year, what they did and some of the LANs, but I still think the general level is a little bit higher online.
That's nice. It's a lot of compliments for a team that you just said would never get a map off of Vitality. So interesting the way you change your tune there, Jacob.
He loves a flip-flop.
What does it say?
Covering bases.
Covering bases. No, I didn't say they would never get a map. I think they'd lose 2-0. I'm not going to lie. Saivu is too good for that team.
Okay.
But either way, the draft actually went down as expected,
exactly how we predicted.
We made the script. The script is happening. Maybe the wins are going to be happening in the same way. Obviously, as we said, the Spirit game is going to be the first to go down tomorrow, which Saul was aptly saying, you know, it was the most likely scenario, so it makes sense that they've put in maybe some extra preparation on Spirit as a team.
But think of the teams that is standing up on that stage, right, that you could choose from. You have G2, obviously, I think everyone would agree they've downgraded. No offense against Heavy Guard, but replacing Nico is almost impossible. You look at Vitality, they've upgraded. You know, I don't think anyone would argue that they haven't upgraded in their scenario in terms of the player material. I think Vitality is looking very, very strong in that regard with Robs coming in. And then you have Navi, who has, I guess they haven't done anything, you know, and I think it speaks volume that teams are willing to already now, after having seen Vitality play 2 games, pick Navi ahead of Vitality. It speaks volume to the potential win in Vitality. It speaks volume to perhaps what's going on within practice right now, and it also speaks volume to the recency bias. Na'Vi ended 2024 not in their best shape, and most people would assume that is continuing into 2025. So fact of the matter is that Vitality did a side of upgrade, and now all of a sudden they're considered to be, by most of the teams confirmed behind us, better than Na'Vi.
Well, we say most of the teams. I'm not sure if everybody there would have actually agreed with that pick. I think, you know, it's up. That's your opinion.
Yep.
It's in the air, right, until we get it from them themselves. But I agree with you. It's an upgrade. They did make an upgrade, but by the process of upgrading, you've also put yourself in a shakier state, right? Sure. The growing pains, the initial outings that we're having right now. Like, yes, it's an upgrade with time, but we haven't added time yet. So, you know, is that what's being identified by Eternal Fire in terms of why they would, why they would take them over Spirit?
Yeah.
Time will tell with that one, but I still think, to go back to your original question there, Freya, it's like, I think that will be the most competitive of these 4 games. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I think Pain Na'Vi could be great.
Yeah.
I mean, they took him the distance at the major. So that was a really close matchup.
True.
And I feel like actually Lux versus Davideus, I think Davideus is extremely strong right now.
Let's be honest, that's been the biggest upgrade out of all of them probably. They don't get enough attention because Pain Gaming is not FaZe. Pain Gaming is not, you know, a team like FaZe bringing in Elise. Davideus doesn't have the brand value as Elise, but I think in terms of raw upgrade and raw firepower they brought into the game, you and I, Freya, we were covering a lot of those games with Davideus. He's been fantastic at this tournament. He's elevated Pain arguably to a new level.
He's like a Chilean Elise.
In that regard, you can argue that. And I mean, if they were close beating Na'Vi at the major without Davideus, what happens here if Na'Vi is still trending somewhat, you know, at a decent level as we saw at the end of 2024?
And that's my question. Is that the Na'Vi that we've seen so far at the beginning of 2025? Is it the same as the end of 2024, in your opinion?
Na'Vi have retooled, for sure. There's no way that they're going to be coming into this season with the break that they had, with the results that they didn't achieve at the previous major, and sit on their hands and say, we'll get them next time. You know, that's not the Blade way. That's not the Alexi B way. They're going to come with a renewed strap book. And I'm almost scared for people like Pain, because now there's a lot that's on the line, and Na'Vi have pride to defend. They have to show everybody, and they will in that matchup, that even though it was close at the major, I feel like the tactical upgrade is going to be there.
The more we speak about it, though, I think you say like Eternal Fire versus Vitality, that has potential. I think it's likelier that Pain will take a map off Na'Vi than EF will take a map off Vitality.
I'm glad that you're saying it now, because then obviously, you know, come 2 days from now, we can have the discussion as to whether it unfolds that way. And if it does unfold that way, I think, again, it's going to be this continuation of T-side struggles from Vitality.
Maybe, yeah.
And if Na'Vi are coming in with a renewed strat book, there's no doubt in my mind that that is what is being hammered home by Apex and Xtaz in this moment, in the 2 days we've had between games. It's going to be about that T-side. And I don't doubt Rops' ability to get online in this new system. We're talking about a world-class player, once considered the best CS2 player in the world for the opening bout of this version of the game. So, you know, I'm almost willing to agree with you, Jacob.
Yeah.
But it would just go against my soul to do that. So.
I mean, Rops is a player that is also, as you said, easy to slot in. Like, remember him playing in FaZe. It's almost like he played his own game while the 4 other guys were doing whatever they wanted. So I think he's used to being not the outcast, you know, but used to being a guy that can take care of himself, sort of. And I think Apex is giving him a lot of that freedom within Vitality as well. And then against Saivu, I think people underestimate how good he looked in those first couple of games. And that's always going to be scary online.
That's going to be going down as the first game on Friday, but let's talk about tomorrow's action. Second game is going to be that Bet Boom taking on G2. Shout out Magnajez for like a really solid answer as to the strategy behind why they have gone for G2 specifically.
He identified what G2's flaws were live on air. You know, that's better than some analysts in this line of work, actually. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's my first day. It's my first day, bro.
No, honestly, I feel like this is, in a way, it was an obvious pick, but at the same time, it's one where if you're seeing how scrappy some of these rounds have looked for G2, then if you're going to also bring that sort of energy, the puggy style, and for him to also say, I'm going to 50-50 call with Nafany. Like, that was the one key detail that kind of blew my mind the most, that Magnajez wants to bring some of the Boomich playbook so they don't lose the identity that they've forged in the meanwhile as Nafany has departed them.
Well, it's because I think in this instance, it really pays respect to the new system that BetBoom have brought forth, because Nafany was on the chopping block, but now he's the scrap of meat that's been pushed into the trash can. They had to rummage it out.
I didn't say it.
And as they did, right, it's just like, we need a fill. We need a fill. That's what he is. He is a fill. So should he call? No. If they wanted him to call, they would have kept him. But they've already departed from that. So do what you can. offer some help. His experience will no doubt be helpful if Magnojez is the 50-50, but Magnojez obviously is the piece they believe in most after this little revamp. So I say, you know, don't give him the whole reins.
It's perhaps a bit rough to say, but I think G2 are the biggest winner of the draft in the sense that Bedboom, you know, coming in with a statement and coming in without the in-game leader as well. There's difference, you know, in terms of standings, as you said, losing your in-game leader and losing that momentum that they built up online by playing good, solid Counter-Strike. Now coming in against G2, that's going to be rough for Bedboom. I would be curious to see that matchup play out with the full Bedboom lineup, with the way they're playing online against G2. I would be arguing that's the closest game. That's one that could go either way. But I think at the end of the day, G2 and TAS right now, they're probably feeling like we were the winners of this draft because we got the easiest matchup out of all of them.
Speaking of our own draft, we've obviously been picking our fantasy teams over on Blast TV. You guys have got roughly about, what, 15 hours to lock yours in now that we know the match is going down. Jacob, let's talk about yours first, because you have a vendetta out against certain people who pick a certain player, but have you gone with that certain player this time?
No, I think you're boring. Everyone picks Dunk a bit boring because it's so obvious, and I know you have to, and it's like when you play Premier League fantasy, you got to pick Erling Haaland, and none of you probably know who that is, you know, but that's
Man City.
Yeah, exactly. That's a guy, like, if you don't have him on your fantasy, there's no way you're winning, and I feel the same about Dunk, and for some reason, I would like to go against that trend, so I pick my GOAT, Saivu.
Your GOAT.
My GOAT.
Relax.
Yeah, my GOAT. Never been worse than a top 3 player in the world.
Oh my goodness.
It's very true, but did you go for the #1 player actually in the world?
Boring.
Yeah, makes
No,
sense.
I went for double Spirit, double Na'Vi, and a singular Eternal Fire pick.
Ooh, was that Woxic?
Yeah, this was Woxic.
You
Yes,
loved it,
Woxic was my 4th player, whatever the tiers are. Excuse me, I forget what they are. Silver, yeah. So it's Donk, Magix, JL, Woxic, Alexi B, and Woxic. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Maui?
I went double Vitality, actually, double Spirit, and Hunter.
I think that makes sense.
That's fun.
I think we've probably gone with the same
Probably.
their picks or thereabouts.
I mean,
Did you go with Donk?
Donk.
Yeah, me too.
Shiro, Flames, Hunter, Apex.
Apex, yeah.
Apex.
I
You do the same thing.
That checks out. I'm pretty sure I did the same thing. Maybe I just copied your homework. I'm sorry. We just know. We're just on the same wavelength. Pimp, any thoughts?
If you know,
to add
you
to
know.
that?
I would like to
Boring?
know his 5, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, you can go check them out on my Twitter if you want to.
No, I would like you to share them live.
I have Saivu, and I'm pretty sure I also pick Flames.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I also picked JL, if I'm not mistaken. And then as an in-game leader, I think I did Alexi B, maybe. I'm not sure if now he's going to win that game. And the 5th one was...
Alexi B would be bronze.
Yeah, he's the lowest rated one. I think Hunter. I think you and I's team are the same apart from Dunk.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I got Saivu, you got
He was making a stand there.
100 euros says I beat you.
Tops.
In the spirit of bounty.
And you know what you could use that money to do? Buy some nice merch from the Blast shop, because there's brand new bounty merch going down. We've all had the chance to maybe try some on. I think maybe there's some pictures that might be coming out at some point from today. Did you have fun shooting those, Jacob?
I think I look good in that merch.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I heard you ask for a size small as well.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I said I'm a medium,
muscle.
but I can do a small if you need me to. Yeah.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Any final thoughts before we throw this one
This
to a close?
man vowed to me that he would never ever bet again, and then he does it live on air the first time you have the chance. Explain yourself.
I clip-clop.
You're an addict. Flip-flop.
All I gotta say, keep Madger on these. Okay.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson,
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Logan Paul.
Wow.
Who next?
And on that bombshell, it's time to bid you farewell. Good night. We'll be seeing you tomorrow for the quarterfinals going down at the Blast Bounty Live LAN here in the Copenhagen studio.